Nyaya Sanhita, or BNS for short. On July 1st, 2024, it officially took the place of the old Indian Penal Code, the IPC. And even the name, which translates to the Indian Justice Code, is meant to signal a totally new direction.
Okay, so the big question is, why? Why make such a massive change right now? Well, the main reason given was the desire to decolonize India's legal system.
And this chart right here, it really lays it all out. You can see we're moving from the Indian Penal Code, which was put in place way back in 1860 during British rule, to the Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita, a law written for an independent India. The whole idea was to finally shed that colonial legacy and create a code that reflects modern Indian values.
And get this all happened incredibly fast. Just take a look at the timeline. The final bill was introduced on December 12th, and by Christmas Day, December 25th, it had already passed both houses of parliament and gotten the presidential sign-off to become law. We're talking less than 2 weeks from start to finish.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty. What's actually different in this new code? Well, the changes are pretty substantial, and they touch on everything from what counts as a crime to what kind of punishments can be handed out.
Let's just start with a few key numbers. First up, 20. That's how many completely new offenses are now on the books.
Then there's 33. For that many existing offenses, the prison sentences have been increased.
And finally, 23 offenses now have a mandatory minimum punishment. That means judges have less wiggle room when it comes to sentencing. So, taken together, this really points to a major shift in how crime is defined and punished.
Now let's look at what some of those changes actually are. The one that got all the headlines was getting rid of the old colonial-era sedition law, which was often criticized for being used to crush dissent. But it's been replaced with a new offense that punishes acts endangering India's sovereignty and integrity. The BNS also brings in specific definitions for modern crimes like organized crime, terrorism, and cybercrime. And in a totally new approach for the country, community service can now be used as a sentence for 6 different offenses.
But of course, a change of this size was never going to happen without some serious controversy. So let's take a look at some of the main debates and criticisms that have come up.
Critics are pointing to several big issues. For one, the controversial exception for marital rape is still in the new code. Old-fashioned language, like outraging the modesty of women, has been kept, when many argued it should have been updated to something more modern and gender-neutral. And that new offense that replaced sedition? Well, some legal experts are worried that its wording is so vague that it could be used to shut down free speech.
And this quote from legal scholar Faisal Fasih, I think it really gets to the heart of the criticism. He says that even though the stated goal was to create a system focused on justice over punishment, a lot of people just aren't seeing that reflected in the actual changes.
And for a lot of critics, it's not just about what's in the new code, but what was left out or kept in. The BNS didn't add specific protections against rape for men or for transgender individuals. Scholars also point out that there isn't enough protection for victims of so-called revenge porn. So it's this mix of keeping old rules while adding new ones that's fueling this really intense debate.
So after all of that, where does this leave us? Is this truly a new era for justice in India?
Well, the official purpose of the Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita is clear. It's meant to decolonize the law and build a new framework for crime and punishment that is uniquely Indian. It brings in new offenses for our modern world and significantly changes how sentencing works.
But as we've seen, the final result is, well, it's complicated. While it's definitely a break from the colonial past, critics argue that it just carries forward old problems while creating some new ones. So I think the ultimate question, one that will only be answered as the law gets tested in the real world, is this. Is this justice truly reimagined? Or in some crucial ways, is it just renamed?